The sky turned red before the war started. Nobody expected the Krelna to attack so suddenly. They came with fire and strange machines, flying across the sky like dark birds. The peaceful planet of Lunari was not ready. Villages burned. Fields were crushed. Families ran. But not everyone could escape. A young alien girl named Serana was left behind. Serana was not a fighter. She was small, with pale blue skin and glowing silver eyes. Her people thought she was too weak to be useful. When the Krelna soldiers came, her tribe fled into the deep woods, but they didn't take her. She cried out, but no one turned back. One elder pushed her into an old hut and closed the door behind her. "Stay quiet. Maybe they won't find you," the elder whispered through the crack. Then silence. She stayed in that dark hut for 3 days. No light came through the walls. Her legs became weak. Her stomach cried louder than her voice. She drank rainwater that dripped through the roof and ate dry leaves from the floor. She tried to stay strong. She told herself someone would come, but no one came. On the 4th day, her body stopped moving. She lay curled in a corner, too tired to cry anymore. Her mind drifted into sleep. Cold, hunger, fear. She was ready to fade away. But that was the day the human found her. Ethan Granger had crash-landed on Elunari during a rescue mission. His ship was broken. His team was gone. He walked through empty villages with a rifle in one hand and pain in his chest. Everything around him looked strange: tall blue trees, soft ground, and strange sounds in the air. He found the hut by accident. It looked like a pile of sticks ready to fall. But something didn't feel right. He stepped inside carefully. At first, he thought it was just trash. Then he saw her, a small girl, breathing slow. Her skin was glowing faintly. She looked more like a ghost than a person. But her eyes opened for just 1 second and looked at him. He dropped to his knees. "Hey, stay with me," he said softly. She didn't respond. But her hand twitched. Picked her up gently. She was so light, he felt like he was carrying air. Her body was cold. Her lips were dry. He wrapped his jacket around her and started a fire outside the hut. He boiled water and tore open emergency rations. "Eat something." "Please," he said, holding the spoon near her mouth. At first, she didn't move. Then her lips opened slightly. 1 drop, then another. Her body trembled. But she was alive. That night, he stayed beside her. He watched the fire and listened for danger. He didn't know her name. He didn't know what she was. But he wasn't going to leave her alone. Not like the others did. In her dreams, Serana heard a voice. It was warm, strong, human. It didn't sound like her people. But it said something she had never heard before. "You're safe now." When she opened her eyes the next morning, the fire was still burning, and a man sat beside her. He smiled. "You made it," he said. For the first time in days, Serana felt warmth in her chest. Not from the fire, but from hope. Serana woke up to the smell of something warm and strange. It wasn't like the dry leaves or bitter bark she had eaten before. It smelled like life, like something strong. She blinked slowly. The morning light touched her skin for the first time in days. The human sat near the fire, stirring a small pot. He looked tired, with a cut on his cheek and dirt on his face. But when he saw her looking at him, he smiled again. "You're awake," he said. "That's good. You scared me yesterday." Serana tried to speak. Her voice came out soft and dry. "Water." He quickly gave her a small bottle. She drank slowly, and it felt like magic. The water touched her insides like fire and ice at the same time. He waited patiently. Then he handed her a piece of food. "It's not tasty," he said, "but it'll help." She took a bite. It was strange and salty. But she kept chewing. "My name's Ethan," he said. "I'm human, from Earth. You got a name?" She looked at him carefully. His voice didn't hurt her ears like the others. It was soft, Honest, Serana, she whispered. That's a nice name, he said, and he meant it. For the next hour, they sat in silence. Serana was still weak, but her body felt warmer now. Ethan cleaned her small wounds and wrapped her in a blanket. He didn't ask too many questions. He just kept the fire alive and stayed near her. But something was wrong. Ethan stood and looked around the woods. The silence was too deep. No birds, no wind. He didn't like it. I need to move you, he said. We can't stay here. The Krelna might still be nearby. Serana's eyes widened with fear. You know them? He asked. She nodded slowly. They came, burned my village. Ethan's jaw tightened. Yeah, they're hunting everything alive on this planet. I came here to rescue people. But my team is gone. She looked at him. Why did you save me? He looked back at her, serious now. Because you were alone. And I don't leave people behind. He built a simple sled from wood and rope. Then he helped her onto it and pulled it through the forest. Serana felt guilty. She didn't want to be a burden. But her legs were too weak to walk. They moved slowly, avoiding open paths. Ethan listened. Carefully with every step, he had soldier instincts. Serana noticed the way he moved, quiet, alert, ready to fight. After 2 hours, they reached a small cave. Inside was dry and hidden by thick vines. Ethan checked it first, then pulled her. Inside, we'll rest here, he said. Then I'll find food, maybe berries or small animals. You stay safe. Serana looked at him, her voice small. Will you come back? He paused, then leaned closer. Always. He left quickly, rifle in hand. The cave felt cold again. Serana stared at the stone walls and the soft moss under her. She touched the blanket Ethan gave her and closed her eyes. But time passed. The sun moved, and Ethan didn't return. A strange sound came from outside. Serana sat up. Her body still. Felt weak, but fear gave her strength. She crawled toward the cave opening and peeked out. She saw smoke rising. She saw shadows. Moving. And then she heard something that froze her heart. A Krelna voice. They were close, and Ethan was still gone. The growling voice outside the cave sent a chill through Serana's bones. She stayed low and still, barely breathing. Through the vines, she saw them, 2 Krelna scouts, tall and armored, their skin rough like cracked stone. One held a scanner. The other carried a long, jagged blade. They were here, one said in a sharp voice. The heat signal was fresh. Serana's heart beat so hard she thought they would hear it. She clutched Ethan's blanket tighter, hoping the smell of fire and human would fade. But the scouts moved closer. She looked around the cave for a weapon, but there was nothing. Her fingers found a small rock, smooth and cold. That was all she had. The scanner made a sharp beep. One scout turned toward the cave. In there. Serana froze. Then just as the scout raised his weapon, something slammed into him from the trees. It was Ethan. He crashed down like thunder, knocking the Krelna off balance. His rifle fired once, twice. One scout fell. The other turned and roared, swinging its blade at Ethan. Sparks flew as metal clashed against the rifle's body. Ethan dodged, moved fast. His training showed. He grabbed a sharp stick from the ground and shoved it hard into the alien's throat. The Krelna dropped with a gurgle. Ethan didn't wait. He ran into the cave. Serana looked up at him, her eyes wide with fear and surprise. Are you okay? He asked, breathing hard. She nodded. You came back. Of course I did, he said, already checking her pulse and face. I told you I'd always come back. She reached out and touched his hand. They almost found me. They won't now, he said. But we have to move, fast. He lifted her gently again. This time, her arms wrapped around his neck. She didn't care that he was a human. She felt safe. They left the cave and went deeper into the forest. Ethan's steps were quick but careful. He knew more would come soon. He had seen enough wars to understand how these creatures hunted. They always searched in groups. As the sun lowered, they reached an old mining tunnel hidden in the side of a hill. Ethan had seen it on a map once. It was abandoned, but it was sheltered. Inside, it was dark and cold. But Serana was used to the dark now. Ethan set her down and built a small fire, using dry wood and a spark tool from his belt. "Eat this," he said, handing her more ration food. "Not much left, but it'll keep you going." She ate slowly. Then she looked at him. "Why do you fight them, the Krelna?" He stared into the fire. "Because they take what they want. Because they destroy things. Because no one stopped them before. But I will." She looked at his face, the dirt, the cut on his cheek, the way his eyes stayed sharp even when he smiled. He wasn't like anyone she had ever known. She whispered, "You're not like the others." Ethan looked at her. "Neither are you." They sat in silence for a while. The fire cracked softly between them. Then Ethan stood. "I saw something when I was scouting," he said. "A signal tower. If I reach it, I can call for help. There might be a rescue ship still in orbit." Serana's eyes filled with worry. "You'll leave me again?" "I'll come back," he said. "But I have to try, for both of us." She reached for his hand. "Be careful." He smiled. "I will, you just rest. I'll return before the moon rises." Then he disappeared into the tunnel's dark mouth. Serana waited. Hours passed, and far away, the Krelna were already moving toward the signal tower. And they had set a trap. Serana stayed close to the fire, watching the tunnel's entrance with wide eyes. The warmth helped her body, but her mind was full of fear. She trusted Ethan, but something inside her felt strange, like a shadow passing over her heart. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Far away, Ethan moved quickly through the forest. His eyes scanned every tree, every sound. He held his rifle tight, finger near the trigger. He was a soldier. He had been through worse. But this time felt different. He wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting for her. The signal tower stood on top of a small hill, rusted metal. Broken panels, but still standing. Ethan climbed up carefully, avoiding open ground. His boots made soft sounds on the dirt. He reached the base of the tower and pulled out a small device from his belt. It blinked red. He connected it to the tower's control panel and waited. The screen flashed, "Signal link ready." Just as he pressed the button, he heard something. Behind him, a sharp snap of a branch. He rolled to the side. Laser fire struck the ground. Where he had been, 3 Krelna soldiers stepped out of the shadows. They were bigger than the scouts, heavier armor, deadlier weapons. Ethan didn't wait. He grabbed the device, shoved it into his jacket, and ran. He zigzagged through the trees as gunfire lit up the forest. Branches exploded. Leaves burned. One blast hit the ground near him and threw him forward. He crashed into the dirt, gasping for breath. His side burned. He had been hit but not deep. Just a graze. He pushed himself up, bleeding, panting. He had to get back to her. Serana sat alone, hugging her knees. The fire was dying. Her head turned toward the tunnel again and again. Every small sound made her jump. She didn't want to believe he was gone, but the fear was strong now. She looked at the wall. There was a sharp stone nearby. Slowly, she took it in her hand. If someone came in, she would fight. Even if she was weak, she had to try. Suddenly, footsteps echoed from the tunnel. Not heavy, not rushed. It was him. She jumped to her feet as Ethan stumbled in. His face was pale. His side was red with blood. But he was alive. She ran to him and helped him sit. "You're hurt," she said, her voice breaking. "I'm fine," he said through gritted teeth. "Signal sent. I think they got it." She pressed her hands on his wound, trying to stop the bleeding. "You're not fine." He looked at her, pain in his eyes. They were waiting. They knew it was a trap. She froze. Then they know where we are. He nodded. They'll come. Silence filled the cave. Serana looked at the fire. Then, back at him. We have to go. No, he said. You have to go. She shook her head. Not without you. He smiled faintly. You're stronger than you think. She stared at him. You saved me. Now I save you. She helped him lie back against the wall and wrapped his wound with cloth torn from her dress. Then she stood, picked up the rifle he had dropped, and checked the ammo just like he showed her. I'm not weak anymore, she said quietly. And in her eyes, Ethan saw something new. Power. He reached into his jacket and pulled out the small device. If help comes, they'll look for this signal. She nodded. Then we stay alive, together. Outside, far in the forest, more Krelna were marching faster now. The trap hadn't worked, but they were coming to finish the job. The forest was silent again, but this time, it was not peace. It was the kind of silence that comes just before death. Serana stood at the edge of the tunnel, holding Ethan's rifle. It felt heavy in her hands, but her fingers didn't shake. Behind her, Ethan lay on the ground, breathing slow and shallow. His wound had stopped bleeding, but his strength was almost gone. You should run, he whispered. She turned and looked at him. You should know by now I don't leave people behind. Ethan smiled weakly. That's my line. She knelt beside him, touched his forehead gently, then stood again. Her silver eyes were glowing brighter, now like stars in the dark. She wasn't just a lost girl anymore. She was something else. A survivor. She had no armor, no training. But she had something stronger than fear. She had purpose. Then she heard it, movement in the trees, the sound of boots, of metal. The Krelna were close. She took a deep breath and aimed the rifle toward the tunnel entrance. She remembered how Ethan showed her elbows in, eye steady, breathe slow. The first shadow appeared. A Krelna soldier stepped into view, scanning with its weapon. Behind it came two more. Serana fired. The shot hit the first one in the shoulder, spinning it sideways. The second raised its gun, but she had already ducked behind the rocks. Laser blasts flew past her, burning the stone. Ethan tried to lift himself but groaned in pain. Serana, there's too many. I'll hold them, she said. You saved me. Now it's my turn. She waited for the blast to stop. Then she jumped up and fired again. One shot, two shots. One Krelna dropped. The others spread out, shouting in their harsh language. They were angry now. They were hunting her. But she was not the same girl who had been left to die in a dark hut. She moved fast, using the rocks and shadows. She fired when she had a clear shot, ducked when they fired back. Her shoulder burned where a blast hit close, but she kept moving. Then something happened. A loud sound from above. A new kind of engine. She looked up. A bright light pierced through the trees. A ship. It was coming down fast, wings glowing, weapons armed. Ethan lifted his head. They came. The rescue signal had worked. The Krelna turned their heads too late. A powerful cannon fired from the ship and slammed into the forest. Trees exploded. Fire spread. Two Krelna were thrown into the air. Serana dropped the rifle and ran to Ethan. The ship landed nearby. A hatch opened. Two human soldiers in white armor ran out. One knelt beside Ethan and checked his pulse. The other looked at Serana. Is he the one who sent the signal? Serana nodded. Yes, but I helped him. The soldier stared at her, then gave a short nod. Get them both inside, now. They carried Ethan onto the ship. Serana followed, still shaking but walking strong. As the ship rose into the sky, fire and smoke below them, she sat beside Ethan and held his hand. You did it, he whispered. She smiled. We did. Ethan closed his eyes and rested. Serana looked out the window, the stars now closer than ever. For the first time in her life, she was not afraid. She had been saved, and she had saved Asterisk, the ship moved through the sky like a quiet bird, high above the smoke and fire below. Inside, Serana sat close to Ethan, her small hand holding his tightly. He was breathing slow, his face pale, but his lips still curled into a tired smile. She wouldn't let go. A human medic checked his wound again. "He'll make it," the woman said. "He lost blood, but he's strong." Serana nodded silently. She didn't understand all the human words, but she understood what mattered. He would live. Another soldier, tall with sharp eyes, looked at Serana and spoke softly. "You're not human, are you?" Serana shook her head. "I'm a Lunari. You fought for him." She looked at Ethan. "He fought for me first." The soldier studied her for a moment, then gave a small nod. "You're one of us now." The ship reached the orbit station within an hour. It was large, full of white lights and strange machines. Serana had never seen anything like it. She held tighter to Ethan's hand as they carried him inside. Doctors took him away. She tried to follow, but they stopped her gently. "He'll be okay." "Let us help him," one said. So she waited alone again. But not truly. A kind nurse gave her clean clothes. Another showed her how to use the washing unit. She saw her reflection in the mirror for the first time in days. Her blue skin was dirty. Her silver eyes looked tired. But there was something else in them now. Strength. 2 days passed. She waited outside the recovery room, curled in a chair. She refused to leave. Every time the door opened, her heart jumped. On the third day, a voice called her name. She turned and saw Ethan standing there. Weak but smiling, she ran to him. He opened his arms and held her as gently as he could. "You didn't leave," he whispered. "Never," she said. They sat together in the quiet room. Outside the window, the stars shone bright. Ships passed by like glowing insects. Ethan looked at her. "The war isn't over." "I know," she said. "But we're alive, and that means something." She nodded. "What happens now?" He smiled. "You come with me." She blinked. "To Earth?" "Earth, or wherever we're needed. You and me, we look out for each other now." Serana looked down at her hands. They had once been weak. Now they were steady. She reached out and took his hand. Together, always. Somewhere deep in space, another fight was waiting. More people needed saving. More lives were lost every day. But this time, a human wasn't going alone. He had her. And she had him. No more dark huts. No more hunger. No more being left behind. From now on, they faced the stars side by side.